Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It's 8:32 p.m. I'm an hour and 15 minutes ahead of schedule. This is amazing. December 15th, 2025. There's quite a few other saints that aren't on the calendar that you're aware of. Check out the playlist, or if you got the app, it's right there on the app right now. The 15th of December, St. Virginia. Mary is the queen of the Franciscan order. What else? A few others. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. Anyway, how are you all? You can respond back. Well, I'm great. It sucks. Whatever you want to do. Anyway, hope you're having a great Monday. It's the case of the moon days. I'm just really excited. I'm an hour ahead of schedule. It's awesome. I might not be up at 2 a.m. today. This is really, really cool. I wish the programs would start working that I need to use, but hey, it can't have everything, right? Benedicta, how you doing? All right, let's get right to it. Our old good friend, the West, World Economic Forum's Yuval Noah Harari. You know that guy that plays on the other team that is an atheist and is completely out of his doggone mind. Has a quote here. Was a new video coming out. When the flood comes, the scientists will build a Noah's Ark for the elite, leaving the rest to drown, which is probably what much of the elite is counting on. He is the quote-unquote philosopher of the Great Reset, if you don't know. I've talked about him for years and years and years. Here is a replica of the Statue of Liberty topples due to strong winds in Guaíba, Brazil. Somewhere in Brazil, somebody put a Statue of Liberty up there. I have no idea why. I never even heard of this until today. I almost was like, if it weren't for stuff like this, we're going, this is, AI. But no, apparently there's a real statue of this thing down in Brazil. The most American. I'm not sure if the Statue of Liberty replica in a parking lot next to a McDonald's is the most American thing I've ever seen, or treason. Anyway, thought it's Clown Planet. There you go. Palantir is back in the Army-Navy game. As Jason Bassler said, Palantir sponsored the Army-Navy game again because, of course, they did. Shape the culture, normalize surveillance, brilliant vertical integration. I mean, if you remember last year, that's a pretty good fix it. I don't think they have last year's on there. If you remember last year, they had a great photo with Elon and JD and Trump in the one of the club seats, and Palantir was right next to him. It was a great marketing thing. If you're into surveillance state marketing, by the way. If you're not, it wasn't really that cool. Let's see. New bill in my neck of the woods. I'm approximately 3/4 of a mile from God's country of South Kakalaki. New bill that would ban chemtrails advances in the South Kakalaki Senate. Yesterday, a Senate Medical Advisors Subcommittee voted 2-1, because it doesn't take much in South Carolina, to advance legalization that would ban chemtrails across the state. A vote on Senate Bill 110 followed a tense hearing. You can watch the full video of the hearing here, dominated entirely by supporters of the chemtrail theory. Testimony included appearances by national activist Dane Whittington. Wow, Dane was in Colombia. Founder of Geoengineeringwatch.org, and claims major weather events are engineered by the federal government. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, if nasty, however, maintains there's no such programs exist, of course, stating that a July fact sheet that it is not aware of any contrail intentionally formed for the purpose of geoengineering and weather modification. Representative Thomas Lee Gilreath, who's leading a similar effort in the South Carolina House, says 3 to 5 other states, wow, including Republican-led Florida and Tennessee. Now, Tennessee is banded to a certain height, have already passed comparable legislation. So first of all, there's 3 to 5 other states that have legislation on this. So South Carolina wouldn't be in the only crazy one here or a conspiracy state in here, said Representative Thomas Gilreath. They are realizing 40 to 60 million. They are releasing 40 to 60 million tons of this stuff annually inside these military planes, and the fuselage is filled with tanks, but they disperse it out in the rear end of the plane. Putting 40 to 50, 60 million tons a year out is a job. These pilots get paid very well to do that, and they have a name for them. I can't remember it right now. I remember that name. It's not a good name. Let's see. Bill would make weather-altering emissions illegal. The bill amends Section 48-1-110 of the state law to explicitly prohibit releasing any chemical or substance with the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or the intensity of the sunlight inside South Carolina. The bill also states as fact that, quote, whereas is documented that the federal government or other entities acting on the federal government's behalf or at the federal government's request may conduct geoengineering experiments by intentionally dispersing chemicals into the atmosphere, and those activities may occur within the state of South Carolina. If passed, the law would take immediate effect upon the governor's signature. Fantastic. Raw milk is good, is okay, good to go in South Carolina. Chemtrails are about to be banned. If they just get rid of the income tax in the state, I'm already ready to go back. Florida is on my radar. South Carolina, of course, is on the radar. Growing Catholic population in South Carolina too. And get rid of chemtrails? You mean you can get back into gardening without metals falling out of the sky? That's fantastic. Now, I don't know how you regulate people in Georgia doing it, or those people putting in the wind. Yes, Georgia borders South Carolina on the west side. Good to see you. How many tabs do you have open? Best regards. Yeah, Bernie, thanks to you, to your comments, neighbor north of you. How many tabs? You don't want to know. On here, just here is where you can count 5, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 50, probably about 55 to 60 tabs that you see. Behind here, I have at least, if you go down, you see I use Brave, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 20 different things going up. Each one of those have about 5 each. And right now, I'm re-editing the YouTube channel, so I have about another 30 videos on there on the edit position to go in, so I can go in and edit those things. And then my regular tab I have, that's at least 40. I have about 300 or 500 tabs. I would say 300. I'm lowballing maybe. I would say 300 tabs total on this thing. Probably why nothing's working right now. So it's self-inflicted wound. Rachel Maddow, that 12-year-old boy that works for MSNBC, returns to the Catholic Church. I did not have this on my bingo card. Progressive TV anchor Rachel Maddow has credited Popes Francis and Leo XIV for leading her back to the Catholic Church. Now, she looks like a 12-year-old boy. That's why we call that joke. It's a little joke that other people have said too. That's the accounts of the letters. That's the account in a Letters from Leo post describing a surprising moment Friday at a Chicago event where Maddow, openly gay and one of cable TV's most recognizable voices on the left, told an audience she has returned to the faith after decades away. So, okay, good on her for coming back. Pray for her, but she's got a long way to go to actually live it. According to the report, Maddow's comments, maybe I should call her Maddow. I can't help it. Sorry. According to the report, the 12-year-old boy's comments, is that better? Came during a Q&A when the audience member asked about Pope Leo, a Chicago native elected after the death of Francis, and his posture towards immigration. Yeah. In Maddow's, I can't even say it. Maddow's telling, Maddow comes out easier. The transition from Francis to Leo felt providential, with both religious leaders publicly emphasizing care for migrants. This happened, I guess, the other day. I just saw it on local news too. Rob Reiner's son, Nick, charged with murder following deaths of his parents, held on no bail. Apparently, Nick stabbed his parents to death in their home. And Trump comes out and says, President blames Rob Reiner's death on incurable case of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, if you don't know. France to vaccinate cattle as farmers protest mass culling policy. France has announced plans to vaccinate 1 million cattle against lumpy skin disease in the coming weeks, and widespread farming protests over the government's policy of culling entire infected herds. Lumpy skin disease targets cattle and buffalo, transmitted via insects, resulting in skin lumps, fever, and lower milk yield. The virus does not infect humans, but outbreaks commonly lead to export bans and heavily economic damage to livestock produce, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, they're trying to kill the food supply. This was from a couple weeks ago, but this is Thomas Massie saying that Kash Patel has weaponized the FBI and is using it to threaten Massie's staff with criminal investigations if they continue speaking up about Israel and the Epstein files. You can see it at the bottom. He says, and I would say that I was going to say then it's not playing anymore. He goes, it's a threat that Kash pretty much comes up. One of Kash's staff threatening one of his staff with a criminal investigation if we didn't straighten up and play ball. Yeah, I think somebody is threatening with the economic, was it fraud? Yeah, that was a fraud. There it is. We're going to investigate one of your staff for fraud. And told another one of my staff this, if you guys don't straighten up and play ball. Here's the Jerusalem Post. Blank the Jews. Gunman fires 20 bullets into Jewish family's Hanukkah decorated home in California. According to door cam footage, the suspect shouted anti-Semitic slurs as he fired at the home from his car. This just in is what I can't remember the what's his face the comedian does. Megatron says StopAntisemitism.com founder says that anti-Semites will be hunted down. Quote, we will follow you for the rest of your life. When you look for a job, when you look for a spouse, when you look for anything, our work will always be documented. That's not that. That's somehow I don't think she's serious about it. Stop any Semites that blocked you. Oh, that's kind of funny. We will watch you. We will find you, hunt you, and then we'll block you. And then we can't hunt and do that. We can't do any of that we just said you did. Kash Patel's FBI has manufactured surveillance footage of 4 supposed pro-Palestinian terrorists they say are plotting bomb attacks across LA and on New Year's Eve. As Adam says, we are being bombarded with false flags. And do you remember a couple of weeks ago we brought this up on here? I've been trying to. I didn't go back in the past to go pull up the tweets, but they were talking about how Iran was going to do these false flags in the United Kingdom. So you wonder if that happened down in Australia. They were already saying that Iran was going to do these false flag. We're going to do these terroristic attacks, and everyone, their brother was going, false flag, be prepared, here it comes. And wouldn't you know it? As the leading report goes, Chuck Schumer, I'm going to say a few words about the shooting in Australia, but first, go Bills. In case you think I'm losing my mind on that, let me play it just because it's that ridiculous.
I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia. Okay? So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Go Bill. Oh, what happened here? Tire screen window. Oh, there's a tire screen. Okay. Sorry, I get my youngest is hearing back chanting now because he's up. Here's Netanyahu. This was from a couple months ago, if you remember this. We played a little bit of it. He says, "Do you have cell phones here? You're holding a piece of Israel right now. You know that?" And an ex-Mossad agent brags about booby-trapped and manipulated equipment in all countries. In case you didn't know, I'll go ahead and play that. Hold on, but you go ahead and play that. It's been a while. It's been a couple months since I at least played it. That was during the 50 states plus one meeting. That was this.
And our weapon systems we share with the United States. We're tremendously appreciative of the bipartisan support in military matters to Israel in previous years and today as well. But do you have cell phones? You have cell phones here? No? You're holding a piece of Israel right there. You know that? I mean, a lot of the cell phones, the medicines, the foods, you eat cherry tomatoes.
Right. Pages, walkie-talkies. Do you know how many treated equipment do we have in these countries? You don't. I do.
You mean you mean booby-trapped equipment?
Not only booby-trapped.
And spying.
Manipulated equipment. All right?
In which countries are you talking about?
All the countries that you can imagine.
And not Gaza?
Not Gaza.
Nothing in Gaza at all.
Did you see that? If we had it, we knew something about them coming. Something, right? I would have sold them everything. Just everything. I mean, you can't imagine the quantity. When I have invented that method, that was in 2002 to 2004.
The pager method.
The manipulated equipment method. Okay? We have already used it. Manipulated equipment in Second Lebanon War. Some of the elements were speaking to us.
How did you use it?
Want a glass of water?
Really? We can get some brandy.
He can tell you, but he didn't.
I know it's an early morning in London. I mean, I don't think that is the case.
There it is. And you know what's funny about that is nobody brings this up. Nobody talks about these, that there's booby-trapped and manipulated equipment in every country in the known world. You think that'd be something that people want to know about. Here is James Lee talking about, if I watch this, all I could think about is the fact that Israel has the alleged capability to detonate any of these weapon devices remotely at any given time. Should we ever step out of line? This is from a new AIPAC commercial that's circulating. And from what you understood, remember because we brought up the Lebanon one, the bombings of Lebanon, when it was used to devices, cell phones, and things like that. You know about the pager bombings. That the Lebanon thing was a couple of years ago. Sorry, Bibi didn't. Usually when I move on to another, you can't hear it even if it plays. For some reason, the Bibi one's playing. They've also come out with a thing saying they don't know if they even need to be, if there needs to be anything inside the device that they can remote detonate with any, they have the capability of remote detonating without anything being involved in it. That's like, whoa. So your cell phone, things like that, have these devices in them, they say. And it took years for the Lebanon thing. And they did that for years to let it circulate throughout the population before they did it. Here is former CIA officer John Kuriako says that 187 Mossad agents are currently spread all across America, and that Jeffrey Epstein was absolutely positively working for Mossad. Now, I'll go ahead and play it. Why not? I'm giving you everything. What wrong button? You didn't come here to listen to me.
If I thought Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli Mossad agent, I said absolutely, positively yes. And General Yatom, he sat there like this the whole show. He just goes, oh. And then Dershowitz is like, I object to that. And constantly interrupting. It's not my nature to interrupt. Or if I do, I apologize for interrupting. Finally, Pierce told him, will you just shut your mouth and let the man answer the question? So I said, look, will you just shut your mouth and let the man answer the question? So I said, look, the Israelis have always spied on the United States deeply. I said, on my very first day at the CIA, where all the new hires, we're sitting in the CIA auditorium called the Bubble.
This is funny.
And we're getting briefed by like the head of insurance and the head of this and the head of that. And this is how you fill out your time card. And this is how you pick your health insurance. And the head of security came to brief us. And he said, the most important thing that we're going to need to consider is the issue of counterintelligence. There are enemies behind every bush, and they all want to know what we're working on and what we know about them. We have to protect ourselves. So he said, rule number one, there's a steakhouse right down the road. It's the nearest restaurant to the CIA's headquarters. Don't ever go in that restaurant. Why? Because the KGB thinks that we all eat at that restaurant. So anytime of the day or night, everybody in that restaurant is a KGB agent waiting for the CIA guy to come in and who forgot to take his badge off, right?
Yeah.
Don't ever go in that restaurant. Secondly, he said, even our friends spy on us. He said, many of you will come into contact with the 2 Israeli intelligence officers who are based at the Israeli embassy in Washington. There's a representative from Mossad and a representative from Shin Bet. He said, the FBI has been able to identify 187 undeclared Israeli Mossad agents spread all across the United States, spying on our defense contractors to steal our defense secrets. Now, we give the Israelis 99% of what we have. They want to steal that last 1%. There's a famous story when we built the F-35.
And I know what everybody's thinking. I want to hear about that story about the F-35. I don't know where to find that one. Sorry. It's just so tedious to hit those buttons all the time. Here's from the Gray Zone. Former Israeli spies now overseeing U.S. government cybersecurity. The Pentagon, Treasury Department, DHS, and a variety of other U.S. government agencies have begun relying on a firm launched by former Israeli military intelligence operatives to consolidate and protect their data. A company with deep ties to Israeli intelligence oversees cybersecurity across more than 70 U.S. government agencies, including the DoD and Homeland Security. Everything you want to know is all in the show notes. Check underneath the link video right now. You got the link. Here's Ryan Grimm. I am so confused with this ceasefire. Because it was 2 days ago, the highest profile killing since the ceasefire began. Breaking news, Israel said it killed the top Hamas commander in Gaza. And what would be the highest profile killing of a Hamas leader since the ceasefire began? Michael Ames says, if you're confused because you refuse to read the terms of the agreement or refuse to inform yourself and your audience of the facts of the conflict. You apparently didn't even read Ahmad's post. Not even he agrees with you. Didn't you read the Gaza famine myth? Yeah. Ceasefire. What usually happens in occupied Palestine is that Palestinians cease and Israel fires. Israel's been breaking the ceasefire for every day, almost every day, at least every day. Here's BM saying, after the hanging newspin worn by the MKs and ministers of Jewish Power Party, now they have it on patches, seen here in the uniform of an Israeli genocide soldier in Gaza, posted by Netanyahu's mouthpiece, Yanon Magao. There's the URL for that guy. As Last America Vagabond says, this was always the intention. You know how I know that? Because countless Israeli politicians, media personalities, soldiers, and online commentators outright told you repeatedly. They bragged about it repeatedly. It takes a special kind of will for ignorance to hide from this. That's pretty much right. Make sure you notice how the new merch that dropped on the Knesset, the death penalty for Palestinians golden pin everybody's wearing. So pretty much what apparently it means is they're going in to kill them all. This was something vivid. Israeli Twitter account. The IDF found Nazi books in almost every home in Gaza. If you believe that, I have beachfront property on Mars for you. And as this guy says, or this lady says, literally nobody believes this. The entire Gaza Strip is rubble, but somehow you found a mint condition mine cough. Be serious. You actually expect people to buy this propaganda. As many people actually wrote me saying, yeah, it's just like the driver's license, the passport that fell out of the sky of a burning building in mid condition into the hands of an officer just walking by at the right time. This is Max Blumenthal. 22 hours ago, posted the first one last February. Max explained how Israel was hit with a suspicious wave of anti-Jewish incidents carried out by paid actors, and how an Israeli team phoned an anonymous threats to his Australian Jewish centers. Israeli intel ultimately coerced Canberra to blame Iran. As Max says, Israel is attempting to blame Iran again for a mass shooting apparently carried out by a multiple of Salafists allied with ISIS, an enemy of Iran, which has never confronted Israel. But there's a much deeper story here. I'll go and play. I don't know if you guys have seen his stuff. We'll play that. And also don't forget that when they say ISIS, Trump has said we got rid of ISIS, I don't know, baker's dozen times. I can't remember. Anybody know the exact count? It's been quite often. We've gotten rid of ISIS 48,000 times, but apparently ISIS is still running around. Let's see, share screen. There it is again.
We talked earlier about the Israeli concoction of anti-Semitism, how anti-Semitism often is either faked or exploited in order to advance Israeli objectives and to justify Israel's existence as a supposed sanctuary for the Jewish people. There's a fascinating investigation taking place in Australia, and I think it will soon turn into some kind of cover-up. I tweeted about this a few days ago. Australian police are investigating whether, quote, overseas actors or individuals are paying local criminals to carry out anti-Semitic crimes in the country. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says anti-Semitic attacks are being, this is his words, perpetrated by people who don't have a particular issue, aren't motivated by an ideology, but are paid actors. He added, quote, it's unclear who or where the payments are coming from. The shadow Home Office minister from the opposition party wonders if, quote, a foreign government is engaging in state-sponsored terror. Here's the BBC. Anti-Semitic crimes may be funded overseas, say Australian police. It's been reported, backpaged, but reported in British media and Australian media. And in Australia, the fingers were initially pointed at Iran and Russia, of course. And then once there was no evidence that Iran or Russia were behind this, they stopped pointing fingers, because who would do something like this? Which country would I don't know, fake anti-Semitism. Well, it reminded me of something that happened at the dawn of the first Trump administration. There were thousands of phone calls and bomb threats to Jewish American institutions like community centers, synagogues. And it turned out, after this whole freak out where the Senate was putting pressure on Trump to condemn this and claiming that because of Trump, there's a rise in anti-Semitism and Jews are in peril because of Trump. You know, this is the New York Times. Threats and vandalism leave American Jews on edge in the Trump era. It turned out that it was an Israeli teen who is a U.S. dual citizen in Israel who was making those bomb threats. Very strange. And Israel tried to actually suppress the identity of that teen.
You get the idea. I'll just keep going so we're not doing a 3-hour show. But yeah, you've seen that before. There was also remember there were, if you recall, when there was a swastika was being painted on, was it schools and something like that, and it ended up being an Israeli guy doing it. So there's been a lot of, don't, whatever the news tells you, don't buy it 100% right off the bat. Let it simmer for a little bit. Do some due diligence, do some research to see what in the world is actually going on, because usually the news lies to you. Here's RT. Israel blames Iran for Sydney's Bondi Beach attack. Israeli intel names Iran prime suspect. Hamas Hezbollah connections are being examined. There's Joshua with Red Pills TV. This rhetoric on the nation state level is what destabilizes regions and starts wars. Within hours after the attack, the Mossad had the intelligence verifying it was Iran. This screams false flag. Israel was plotting a false flag in America to blame Iran. This was a couple of months ago, I think it was. Yeah, June 2025. According to major Iranian news outlet Tehran Times. Yeah, this was back in June 26. Yeah, man. So this is many of this, not even just a couple of weeks ago. Here's what I was looking. No, this was from last year. That was different. UK facing plot after plot from Iran. Let's see. I know there was another one. I have to find it for next time. Here's Al Jazeera. At least 15 killed in shooting a Jewish festival at Sydney's Bondi Beach. One of the suspects was also killed in an attack in Sydney, while another is in custody in critical condition. And by the way, the hero bystander tackles gunman. Where is it at in here? Just bang, bang, bang. There it is. Dramatic footage shows a bystander in a car park tackling one of the suspects and snatching his gun. The video then shows the suspect losing his footing and backing away towards a bridge where another shooter was located, while the bystander, identified by the local media as 43-year-old fruit shop owner Ahmed Al-Ahmed, places the gun down on the ground. So while everybody was going after about the Israeli part of it, some Muslim, or the Muslim part of it, some Muslim stopped the Muslim. I don't know if that was on Fox or not. I didn't hear anybody talking about it. Speaking alongside his wife, Melania, during a Christmas celebration at the White House, Trump called the incident a purely anti-Semitic attack. Now, my question is, how in the world would he have known if he's at a party? I'm horrified for them to somebody just tell him what happened, or here's Mr. President, here's what happened. Someone shot up a bunch of Israelis on the first day of a Hanukkah celebration, which could have been Quinky Dinkle. I don't know. Who knows? But again, everyone just knee-jerks first thing instead of going, oh, it's 100% this. Yeah, countries around the world, including Italy, Iran, Qatar, and the UK, and these United States also condemned the attack. Well, that wasn't shocking. Apparently, Russia has stopped the Hanukkah lighting ceremony because for safety, they say. But yeah, just again, pump the brakes a little bit and make sure that it is what it is and not what you're supposed to, not what the TV wants you to think it is. Australian police investigating Sydney shooting as terrorism. Isn't every shooting terrorism? Australian officials said a father and son was killed, at least 15 at a Jewish holiday celebration. More than 36 were hospitalized, including the surviving gunman. And don't remember, this is a gun-free zone, major gun-free zone. Bondi, the whole country's a gun-free zone. Bondi terror attack orchestrated by Iran as Sydney Muslim cemetery desecrated with pig heads in sick act of revenge. Alleged shooter Naif Akram is said to have pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, which again, remember, everyone kept saying ISIS is gone, ISIS is destroyed, but wait a minute, this is a group that works with Israel. There's Ahmad al-Ahmad wrestled on when the gunman seized his weapon. Oh yeah, I just put this in the middle. Scientists and researchers, I can't play more 10 seconds of this or I'll get flagged because it's 60 minutes. Scientists and researchers are conducting tests to determine whether cockroaches outfitted with tiny high-tech backpacks could be used as miniature assets on the battlefield. Look at that. They're putting bombs on cockroaches. Cockroach terminators. Dave the Camp talking about gunman who killed 3 Americans in Syria was member of Syrian government security forces. Dave the Camp says the attacker was member of Syrian government security forces. Read stories below. Oh, now I'm trying to look at here. Trump on Syria. We had 3 great patriots terminated by bad people. It was not the Syrian government. It was ISIS. And Dave says, no, it's actually the Syrian. They were members of the Syrian government security forces. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and cue up Dave's side. Generals singing in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Remember, Syrian government kills 3 Americans. Netanyahu slams Australian Prime Minister after Bondi attack. U.S. military plane nearly collides with JetBlue. Got that coming up too. Hamas commander killed by Israeli airstrike. We already looked at that. Israel kills 3 in airstrikes on South Lebanon. Zelensky wants NATO-style security guarantees. U.S. strikes Somali forces killed 7 children in November. Erica Kirk has announced that TPUSA will hold a Shabbat dinner at its AmFest conference to combat anti-Semitism. So, Shabbat Shalom, you know, they might as well just call it not what is it? AmFest, just call it Shabbat Shalom, since they are pushing. She is pushing Israel big time. She was on Fox with a pin. It said, "Israel, I support Israel." That's right. You guys keep everyone out there, just keep backing her up. Don't question anything. Just believe. Here's Mel talking about the Brown University. Brown University faculty and students have long wanted to globalize the Intifada. They've had success. The Intifada has been globalized. Mel says, this is Batar Worldwide. How would a Zionist organization headquartered in Israel know who the Brown shooter was and what their motives were 15 hours before any arrests were made? By the way, and the Batar Worldwide, those were the guys that were talking about the pager attacks big time back in it when that went down. It's for the same reason they knew who the shooter was in Australia before he started shooting. Oh, it's one of those, just like James Lee talks about when they find out who's been searching for these people's names. This is one of those What are the odds moments? There are now 2 students who survived the shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island tonight and also supposedly survived 2 other well-known mass shootings. Zoe Weissman, a Parkland survivor, and now Mia Tretta, a hardcore gun control and anti-Second Amendment activist who has met with disgraced former President Brandon and just happened to be there tonight. Both have already been making their rounds on CNN and MSDNC or MSNBC, pushing the gun control agenda, which Trump does too, in the immediate aftermath of surviving yet another mass shooting. Does anyone actually believe that this is a coincidence? We are talking about 2 completely different parts of the country, 2 alleged repeat survivors of mass shootings years apart from one another. Call me a conspiracy theorist, guys, but something just isn't right about this. I'm not putting the tinfoil hat on you. I got plenty to go around. It's very cheap to have. Here's this was great. Mel, he survived 10/7 and the Bondi Beach. That's wild. Same as the girl from Brown yesterday, who also survived Parkland. Crazy times. And as Alan goes, when I get shot and I'm lying down, hiding, the first thing I'm going to do is pull out my phone, turn on a filter, and take a few pics, select the best one, then edit said pic to put some please help text on there. It's first day tactical self-awareness stuff. If you don't know, it's the guy that if you saw if I click it, YouTube's gonna hate it. I'll click it fast, and if you want to look at it, go back. Okay, so that was the shot of the guy from over on the left side, that side, or this side. The first one, whatever, was 10/7, and the second one was yesterday. Looks like the same thing, and then the second one, he's literally got the bandaged up face and says, "Please help" on her. So what he's saying is, he's about to get shot, or that's the narrative. You know what I need to do? I need to bust on my cell phone, take a selfie, make sure I got the right background in the screen right there. Let me go ahead and text up, "Please help." What else do I need? I got to put the filter in. Let me put the filter in. Where am I uploading this bad boy? I'm getting shot at here. Hey, stop shooting. I got to think. Twitter, Instagram. Oh, yeah, I already went by this. Okay. U.S. military plane and JetBlue flight nearly collide over Caribbean radio traffic shows. Air Force refueling tanker was flying without its location transponder activated and could not be detected by air traffic control. Apparently it crossed over literally right in front of them. Here's a CNN inside a white supremacist compound hiding in plain sight. Tellico Plains, Tennessee. So last week was it Arkansas? Now it's Tennessee. In East Tennessee, at the end of a winding dirt road, a mother glances to the woods she roamed as a child. It's a deep and dramatic visit. Patchwork of pines and oaks disappearing into an endless Blue Ridge mountain range. I think I know about this group. They're supposed to be part of Patriot Front. Yeah, I remember this group from a while ago. Former MAGA loyalist MTG, Marjorie the Gathering, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, says Trump policies are not America first. Elon Musk just became the first person ever worth $600 billion. It keeps going. The rich get richer. This is from The Hill. Senators brace for another possible shutdown in January. We talked about this during the last shutdown, and I can't wait for another shutdown. Shutdown part 48. Kristi Nunn was brought on before to talk about why she's arresting, as even Congress critters said, the worst of the worst. Or that's what they said. You said you were going to get the worst of the worst, but now you're getting veterans. Kevin Sorbo, fun fact, he was self-deported. Funny how they left that part out. Norman Ornstein, funny how you left that part out about he was threatened that if he would be jailed and deported unless he left voluntarily. Veteran who took bullets for the U.S. How many bullets have you taken, Kevin? And again, a lot of Teen Party politics guys are very self-righteous and keyboard warriors online. This is the Christian Noem's commander at large says U.S. citizens need to carry proof of citizenship. This 3 days ago, immigration rights lawyer Aaron Reichen Melnick of the American Immigration Council amplified a report this week about a U.S. citizen in Minnesota who was recently detained by ICE agents allegedly for looking Somali. We talked about that last week. According to U.S. citizen, he repeatedly begged the agents to look at his digital passport ID, but they refused. Oh, he even had a digital ID. Melnick wrote on social media, wow, Mr. Bashir told local news DHS officers outright refused to check his real ID to verify his legal status and instead handcuffed him and dragged him down to the local ICE processing office so they could fingerprint him and run him through the systems instead. Commander at Large CA Gregory Bovino tweeted out, one must carry immigration documents as per the NIA. Real ID is not an immigration document. Okay. Show me your papers. ICE cut off her wedding ring. There was a Sue Tincture, is a 55-year-old American citizen and grandmother, 5'4" and white. She's not going to put her weight up like any good woman would. Just in case you thought that you'd be safe. She walked into a neighbor's house after getting alerts that ICE was nearby. She stood across the street and asked an officer if they were ICE. They told her to get back. She didn't move. Seconds later, they threw her to the ground, handcuffed her, and hauled her away. She spent 5 hours in leg shackles at a federal building. Agents cut off her wedding ring and threatened to pepper spray her in the truck. Her husband spent all day trying to find where they had taken her. Federal officers wouldn't even tell him. Her crime was simply standing on a public street, watching and asking questions. Read that again. Here in Minnesota, a U.S. citizen was arrested, restrained, and disappeared for hours, not for interfering, not for resisting, but for asking a question. If they can arrest Sue Tincture for standing on a public sidewalk, they can arrest anyone. Immigration attorneys said they're seeing constitutional violations every single day now. I'm running behind because we need leaders who will call this what it is: un-American, unconstitutional, unacceptable. She stood up. I'm standing up. We must all stand up. You stand up. We all stand up. Thump the Red October. Dramatic moment. Russian submarine is blown up by Ukrainian subsea baby underwater kamikaze drone for the first time. Here's BNO News. U.S. forces seize oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. And as Aiden says, but when the Houthis do it, it's terrorism. Yeah, if the Houthis do it, it's terrorism. If the U.S. does it, it's, hey, we're going to take the oil and use it ourselves. WW fears as Germans dig trenches on Poland's borders, and Europe can't rely on U.S. help. World War IIIs are mounting as Germany prepares to send troops to Poland's borders with Belarus and Russia amid military threats and Russian aggression. The front line is everywhere. New MI6 head to warn of growing Russian threat. Blaise Metroelli expected to say UK faces new age of uncertainty in speech, identifying Kremlin as key threat. New York City. Yes, New York City is getting the first 3 Las Vegas-style casinos. New York Mets ballpark at Queens, the Bronx golf course. What is it? A Bronx golf course once operated by Trump's company, a slot parlor on a horse racing track near JFK. The 3 disparate sites located far from the tourist hub of Manhattan will become the future homes of New York City's first Las Vegas-style resort casinos. The State Gaming Commission on Monday awarded the 3 projects licensed to operate in lucrative metropolitan area market during a meeting at a Riverside Park in uptown Manhattan. There goes the neighborhood. Here's Jack Posabiec, who gets $7,000 from Israel every time he posts a tweet, apparently. Breaking. Governor Cox misspoke early on. The gun was not disassembled after the shooting. Wait, timeout. It was intact as the shooter ran across the roof. So these guys now keep moving the narrative now. What they said before is the guy, Taylor, who has not pleaded guilty still, shot, disassembled the gun, ran, shoved it in his pants, shoved it in his backpack, ran and jumped off, ran, and then put it back together and left some more ammo back. But then it was like, wait a minute, how do you put it back together? Because the screwdriver was left up on top of the roof. How many months later? Now they say the governor said, I misspoke. He didn't disassemble the gun after his shooting. Everyone and their brother was playing this out for months, going, this is impossible. There's no way he did that and still took that apart in the seconds they're saying, and then shove it down and ran in his pants, shove it down in there. Now they're saying, and it was intact as the shooter ran across the roof. And there's no video of anybody running with a gun on the roof, unless they manufactured it with AI or something. Has anybody seen a video of anybody running off the roof? Because I've seen the video of the guy running off and jumping out because they were saying it's in his pants, it's in his backpack. Just believe us. Don't think because that he needed a bigger backpack. Now it's not disassembled and he's carrying it across. These guys are making it up, and these guys, and they think you're stupid. Just believe us because we are TPUSA. Here's Jason Bassler. Palantir software was used by Israel on its 2024 pager attacks in Lebanon, according to a new book by Alex Karp. I think I played this Friday. People are covering their faces to avoid live facial rec surveillance. U.S. police grabbing them off the street for not complying and demanding their details. This is not a slippery slope, it's a cliff's edge. UK police are grabbing them off the street for not complying with the live facial recognition and demanding their details. We're campaigning to stop facial recognition. Yeah, UK is way ahead of the States on this stuff, especially London. I mean, the ULEZ stuff, there he goes. He got a 90-pound fine for not covering his face. Just walking in the street. Or what is it? What? No, for covering his face. I'll play it for you.
You've covered your whole face up like that.
This man didn't want to be caught by the police cameras, so he covered his face. Police stopped him. They photographed him anyway.
There's no law. There's no law against covering your face. Yeah, okay, well, there you go. You let him go then.
Well, maybe
see your face?
Maybe it's because I don't consent to being on there.
Oh, right. Okay, why's that?
Because I think it's a bit of a government overreach.
Oh, right, okay. That's fine. Can we take your details down? Is that all right?
Don't cover my face, I cover my face. Don't push me over when I'm looking down the street.
The police said this was disorderly behaviour, so they gave him a fine.
I've got a now £90 fine. There you go. Look at that.
You let them know that he's got a right to cover his face and he can walk away.
The thing is, we live in a country which is free. We don't have to carry ID. So we don't live in a state where the police have the right to see your ID willy-nilly. This takes away my freedom because you're IDing me without asking.
Man, the police state is coming in on a freight train going 900 miles an hour. And nobody's pretty much going to stop it. Here's 7 C's. Make sure your kids are skipping picture day. LifeTouch Photography, the largest school photo company in the country, has been owned by Shutterfly Inc. since 2018. Shutterfly Inc. is an interesting company because it's almost entirely cloud-based, meaning that they are more than likely collecting and storing the photos they take of your child on the server somewhere. They also take photos of your children year after year, effectively giving them a generous sample of age progression for each child. Who owns Shutterfly? Apollo Global Management. They purchased Shutterfly in 2019, shortly after the LifeTouch acquisition. Apollo Global Management is especially nefarious and should be on everyone's radar. Quote, within 6 months after the collapse of Drexel, Apollo launched Apollo Investment Fund LP, the first of its private equity investment funds formed to make investments in distressed companies. Apollo raised about $400 million of investor companies based on Leon Black's reputation as a prominent lieutenant of Michael Milken and a key player in the buyout boom of the 1980s. Milken went to jail, and Drexel Lambert essentially restructured itself under the name of Apollo Global Management. People may remember Leon Black, who was CEO of Apollo Global Management until 2021, where he stepped down due to criticism of his notorious involvement with none other than Jeffrey Epstein, to whom he donated millions and millions of dollars. It keeps going on here. Who owns Apollo Global Management? Vanguard, BlackRock, all the good stuff, all those good people right there. And there's one fact I missed regarding a thread, which indicates to me that Shutterfly is more than likely using your kids' biometrics to train their AI models. In 2021, Shutterfly was implicated in a lawsuit filed in a class by Illinois residents who claimed the photo sharing company illegally collected and stored their biometric data without their consent, violating Illinois privacy laws. Shutterfly was forced to pay $6.75 million in the class action settlement as a result of the suit filed by plaintiffs, blah, 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 who alleged Illinois state court uses facial recognition, that Shutterfly uses facial rec to collect and store the biometric identifiers of anyone who appears in a photo uploaded to its platform. This is why I do not take any photos and put them on my kids. I don't even. Yeah, I got good memory. Hopefully I take enough the supplements and tinctures and things like that, not to have dementia ever, so I can remember this stuff. But yeah, I do not like having that stuff on my cell or anything like that. Definitely not online. In China, there is a fully autonomous police vehicles that patrol cities 24/7. They are equipped with 360-degree facial cameras, facial rec, loudspeakers, flashing lights, and sometimes thermal imaging and other sensors. They can automatically detect facial rec, wanted people, blacklist, fines, license plates, stolen, fake, expired, jaywalking, and e-bike violations, no helmet, no seatbelt, illegal parking, and red light running. They also roam around the train stations. At 7 Seas, we have these in America. They are called Teslas. And the reason why I said it, because if you had this going down the street, people will be livid. But if it's called a Tesla, people will buy it. Here's a dump truck dash cam captured a moment a Tesla veered into oncoming traffic in Arizona, triggering a chain reaction crash that sent the truck careening into another vehicle before it slammed into a wall. The driver of both the Tesla and the dump truck were hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. As 7 Seas reported on air, according to Arizona state law, where this accident took place, even if the vehicle was in full self-driving mode, the operator of the vehicle is still entirely liable and may be issued a traffic citation or other applicable penalty if the vehicle fails to comply with traffic or motor vehicle laws, meaning that effectively your self-driving car can attempt to kill you and you'll still be found at fault for any damage caused if you survive. Dun, 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 dun. There's the Department of Education just got a fresh injection of Palantir surveillance system software. I couldn't find anything confirming this, but I think it's probably safe to assume that just like the FARA, Israel probably doesn't qualify as foreign here, as is. Palantir has expanded its reach into the education department, where the data analytics and software giant is helping develop the agency's new portal for universities across the country to report foreign donations. The quiet move marks the tech company's latest expansion to federal government work, particularly in data management services. There's Texas Instruments, the TI-85, TI-360, all the little your used to be calculators. Texas Instruments has purchased Ubitex industrial humanoid robot Walker S2 and is currently deploying and testing it on its production lines. Ubitech will also integrate more Texas Instruments components into the core components of its humanoid robots. And as someone goes, this looks very familiar. Yeah, wait till they have those little lights turn red. Here's Dr. Peter St. Ange. The Fed just admitted markets won't buy $9 trillion of federal debt coming soon. So the Fed will. Last time the Fed did this was the 1940s. It led to a 20% inflation. When Germany did it in the 1930s, it led to hyperinflation. Yay, can't wait. And in sports, grandpa quarterback Phillip Rivers buzzes back to the NFL, shocking youngsters. Phillip Rivers, 44, makes a historic return after 5 seasons away. He nearly pulled off a victory. He threw for, I think it was like 14 to 16, probably $180 yards, a touchdown and an interception. In this day in history, 1939, Atlanta premiere of Gone with the Wind. Frankly, Scarlett, I don't even. The worldwide celebration accompanied the premiere of Gone with the Wind in Hotlanta, Georgia on this day in 1939. 2011, the Iraq War officially ended when the U.S. formally declared that the mission in Iraq was over. And there's so many jokes to go in with that. 2001, the Leaning Tower of Pisa reopened in Pisa, Italy after more than 10 years of work to stabilize the structure. 1997, the U.S. DOD ordered that all Americans in its service be inoculated against anthrax, a potential weapon of biological. I remember, like I said before, I remember standing by a air vent, 2001. Someone said they don't want anybody to throw anthrax into this vent, and I stood there for 3 hours because it was a fundraiser for our baseball team. Like, this sucks. That was 1997. 1997 again. Janet Jagan, the elected president of Guyana, became the first elected female president in South America and the first white president of it. 1989, anti-government demonstrations erupted in Romania, beginning the revolution that toppled the communist leader from power a few days afterwards. 1987, Septima Poinsett Clark, an educator and civil rights activist, became director of education and teaching at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in the 60s, died on Johns Island in South Kakalaki. I know exactly where Johns Island is, a beautiful area. 1948, Alger Hiss, a former U.S. government official, was indicted on 2 counts of perjury in connection with accusations of membership in a communist espionage ring during the 30s. 1907, Oscar Niemeyer was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. 1890, the Lakota chief Sitting Bull was killed on the Grand River in South Dakota by native police and soldiers who had been sent by the U.S. government to arrest him so as to prevent him from leading an insurrection. 1791, the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, traditionally defined as a collection of mutual reinforcement guarantees of individual rights and limitations on the federal government and not the state governments. It's limitation on the federal. It's what the federal government cannot do to the state governments. You incorporationistas, I'll refrain from more words, were adopted in a single unit. Yes, the U.S. bill, the federal Bill of Rights, is what the federal government cannot do to the states. Yes, there was a thing back after the 14th, and modern 14th Amendment Constitution is the idea of the incorporation doctrine, which is made up garbage. It's a progressive mindset. So in other words, if you're one that says the Second Amendment involves from here to the ice world and Hoth and come back, you're wrong. Yes, that's what all the incorporation guys love to say. First Amendment here, Second Amendment here. When someone has, you can't tell somebody in LA not to say anything, the police department. No. If LA wants to ban cussing, they can ban cussing. The federal government can't do jack squat. The city can do it. The state can do anything it wants. The city wants to do it as long as it doesn't violate the state constitution. That's the problem we have right here is the centralization of powers. That is wrong. The federal and state, nope. Every state has its own Bill of Rights. If you look up your own state government, you could probably find that out. Look up your state constitution, read it, see what it is. Because then obviously you would think, why do I have a state constitution if we only have the federal one that means anything? Indeed. They try to get rid of the states, communistic idea, and make it just one central, wall-to-wall thing. Anyway, 37 BC, common era. That's AD. 37 AD. Nero became infamous for his personal debaucheries and extravagances as the Fifth Roman Empire was born. All right, I took all that long-winded thing to talk about Nero. Anyway, have a great evening. Mark, welcome. We're leaving. Have a great night. Sorry, I started early for you, buddy. Anyway, have a great rest of the night. Check out senseofidelium.tv for the app.com for everything else. Playlists, all that stuff. There was something else I was going to say. I don't know. I'll see you tomorrow for what do we call it? Told You So Tuesday, I guess. Yeah. Have a great rest of the night. God bless.